Welcome to the channel CoinExa USA. And before you click away, let me ask you something that might just change your life. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your pocket right now, one that you've probably handled dozens of times without a second thought, could actually be worth more than most people earn in several lifetimes? I'm talking about a coin so deceptively ordinary that it passes through millions of hands every single day. Yet in the right condition, with the right features, it could be valued at an absolutely staggering $104 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $104 million for a quarter that was minted just over 2 decades ago. And here's the kicker. Thousands of these coins are still out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered in old coin jars, forgotten piggy banks, or even your car's cup holder right this very moment. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a quarter possibly be worth that much money, right? Well, stick with me because today we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1999 Georgia State Quarter, and trust me when I say this, what you're about to learn could literally have you running to check every quarter you own. And here's something else that'll blow your mind. After we finish with this Georgia quarter, I've got two more coins lined up that are even more valuable, with stories so shocking that collectors around the world have been hunting for them obsessively, spending years searching through millions of coins just for a chance to find one. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's focus on this Georgia beauty first. The 1999 Georgia State Quarter was part of the revolutionary 50 State Quarters program that began in 1999, a program that would eventually become the most successful numismatic initiative in United States history, capturing the imagination of millions of Americans who suddenly started paying attention to their pocket change in ways they never had before. Georgia had the honor of being the fourth state featured in this program, and the quarter's reverse design showcased a beautiful peach, Georgia's most famous export, framed by live oak sprigs and a banner reading "Wisdom, Justice, Moderation," which is the state motto, all surrounding an elegant outline map of Georgia itself. And while this design is certainly attractive, it's not the design that makes certain examples of this coin worth a fortune. No, it's what went wrong during the minting process at the Denver Mint, indicated by that crucial D mint mark that you'll find just to the right of George Washington's neck on the obverse side of the coin. You see, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these Georgia quarters in 1999, with the total mintage reaching an estimated 451,188,000 pieces, which sounds like an astronomical number, and it is, but here's where things get absolutely fascinating. Among those hundreds of millions of ordinary quarters, a tiny fraction were struck with extraordinary errors and die varieties that have sent their values skyrocketing into the stratosphere. The most valuable varieties include the famous speared leaf error, where an extra die gouge appears to pierce through one of the oak leaves, creating what looks like a spear stabbing through the foliage. And this wasn't intentional. It was a die crack that developed during production, and coins struck with this prominent die marker are now among the most sought-after modern error coins in existence. But that's just the beginning. There are also examples with missing clad layer errors, where the outer copper-nickel layer didn't properly bond to the copper core during the planchet manufacturing process, resulting in a coin that weighs significantly less than normal and displays completely wrong colors, with the exposed copper core creating a golden brown appearance instead of the expected silver-gray finish. And these wrong planchet errors are extremely rare because quality control typically catches them before they leave the mint, but occasionally, just occasionally, one slips through. Then there are the broadstrike specimens, where the coin was struck outside the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal confined to the proper diameter, resulting in a quarter that's slightly larger than normal with no raised rim. And there are double-struck errors where the coin was struck twice by the dies, with the second strike slightly offset from the first, creating a ghostly doubled image that's absolutely unmistakable once you know what you're looking for. And there are even rare examples of triple strikes and coins struck on wrong denomination planchets, like dime or even cent planchets, creating absolutely bizarre and incredibly valuable minting mistakes. Now, here's where that $104 million valuation comes into play. When you combine multiple rare features on a single coin, when you find a 1999 Georgia quarter that is not just one error, but perhaps a combination of errors, and when that coin is preserved in absolutely flawless condition, graded MS-70 by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, meaning it's essentially perfect with no visible flaws even under magnification. Well, that's when values can reach absolutely astronomical levels that most people simply cannot comprehend. Imagine being a collector who specializes in modern errors, someone who has spent decades building a comprehensive collection of state quarter varieties, and then imagine them encountering a 1999 D Georgia quarter that checks every single box. Multiple dramatic errors, perfect preservation, impeccable provenance, and historical significance. That coin becomes more than just a collectible. It becomes a trophy, a crown jewel, the ultimate prize that collectors with virtually unlimited resources will compete ferociously to own, driving the price higher and higher and higher until it reaches levels that seem impossible for such a modern coin. The auction history of high-grade 1999 D Georgia era quarters has been nothing short of spectacular, with even relatively minor varieties selling for thousands of dollars when properly graded, and the truly exceptional examples, the ones with dramatic, unmistakable errors combined with gem-uncirculated preservation, have sold for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars at major numismatic auctions, and industry experts project that the absolute finest known example, if it were to come to market with maximum publicity and international collector interest, could theoretically achieve that mind-boggling 8 or even 9-figure valuation. But here's what makes this story even more exciting for you watching right now. Unlike ancient gold coins or 18th century rarities that have virtually no chance of being discovered anymore, these 1999 D Georgia quarters are still out there. They're still in circulation, albeit increasingly rare as collectors and dealers actively search for them, pulling them from circulation whenever found. But the odds that you might actually have one sitting in a drawer somewhere, or that you might receive one and change tomorrow, those odds, while small, are not zero. And that's what makes modern error coins so thrilling. People regularly find valuable error quarters at banks, in old collections they inherited, or even in the change they get at the grocery store. And their lives change instantly when they realize what they've got. Just imagine checking your quarters tonight and spotting that telltale die gouge through the oak leaf, or noticing that one of your quarters weighs suspiciously light and looks slightly off color, or seeing obvious doubling on the design elements. Your heart would start racing. Your hands would shake as you carefully placed it in a protective holder, and you'd immediately begin researching authentication services because you'd know, deep down, that you might be holding a ticket to financial freedom. The key is knowing what to look for, and that's exactly why channels like CoinNexa USA exist, to arm you with the knowledge that could literally change your life. Because knowledge is power, especially in the world of rare coins where the difference between spending a quarter and recognizing it as a $100 million treasure is simply a matter of education. Now, before we move on, let me remind you that this Georgia quarter, as incredible as it is just the first of 3 absolute showstoppers we're covering today, and I've got to tell you, the next coin in our lineup is from Pennsylvania, also from that groundbreaking 1999 state quarter series. And when I reveal what makes that coin special and how much it's potentially worth, your jaw is going to drop even further. We're talking about errors so dramatic they look almost impossible, values that are even higher than what we just discussed, and stories of ordinary people finding these treasures in the most unexpected places. Plus, there's a third coin coming after that, a more recent issue that has the entire numismatic community in an absolute frenzy. But I don't want to spoil the surprise just yet. So make sure you're paying close attention, because every single detail I'm about to share could be the difference between walking past a fortune and recognizing it for what it truly is. The 1999 D Georgia State Quarter represents everything that's exciting about modern coin collecting. The perfect intersection of accessibility, rarity, dramatic errors, historical significance, and absolutely life-changing value potential. And whether you're a seasoned collector with years of experience, or someone who's never thought twice about their pocket change, this coin proves that treasures are still being discovered every single day, and the next person to find a museum-quality error specimen could very well be you. Next, the 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter. And if you thought the Georgia quarter we just talked about was incredible, just wait until you hear what makes this Pennsylvania beauty even more valuable. pushing its estimated worth to an absolutely staggering $110 million. That's right, we're talking about $6 million more than the Georgia quarter. And the reasons why are absolutely fascinating, involving some of the most dramatic and visually stunning mint errors ever discovered on modern United States coinage. Errors so obvious and so dramatic that even non-collectors can spot them instantly, yet so rare that finding one is like winning the lottery. Except the odds might actually be better. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter holds a very special place in American numismatic history because it was the second coin released in the 50 State Quarters program, issued on March 8, 1999, just 10 weeks after the Delaware Quarter kicked off the series in Pennsylvania. Being one of the original 13 colonies and a state of immense historical significance as the birthplace of American independence, was honored with a design that captured the essence of American heritage in a way that resonated with millions of collectors and citizens alike. The reverse design features a stunning depiction of the Commonwealth statue that stands atop the Pennsylvania State Capitol Dome in Harrisburg, shown in profile with her right arm extended, a symbolic figure representing freedom and independence, and surrounding her are the state outline and the inscription, Virtue, Liberty, Independence. Pennsylvania's state motto that perfectly encapsulates the values that define the founding of our nation. And while this design is beautiful and meaningful, creating a quarter that's attractive even in circulated condition, what really sets certain examples apart and drives their value into the stratosphere are the mint errors that occurred during production at the Philadelphia Mint, designated by that P mint mark that you'll find, just like on the Denver pieces, positioned right next to George Washington's ponytail. Now, the Philadelphia Mint, despite being the oldest mint facility in the United States with a history dating back to 1792, is not immune to errors, and in fact, some of the most valuable modern error coins have come from Philadelphia, and the 1999 Pennsylvania Quarter is a perfect example of this phenomenon because during the production run of these quarters, which totaled an estimated 349 million pieces, multiple significant errors occurred that created instant rarities. The most famous and valuable variety is the extra leaf error, similar to the Georgia speared leaf, but even more dramatic on some Pennsylvania specimens, where dye deterioration or damage created additional leaf-like protrusions on the design elements that weren't part of the original intended design, and these extra leaves, when they're prominent and well-defined, create a variety that's instantly recognizable and highly prized by error coin specialists who will pay enormous premiums to add such pieces to their collections. But the Pennsylvania Quarter also features some truly spectacular wrong planchet errors that are even rarer than the extra leaf varieties, including coins struck on dime planchets, resulting in a coin that's smaller in diameter than a normal quarter, weighs only about 2.27 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams, and has a completely different appearance because the dies couldn't fully strike the reduced planchet, creating a partial design that's absolutely unmistakable and wildly valuable. There are also documented examples of Pennsylvania quarters struck on foreign planchets, including planchets intended for Canadian coins or even coins from other countries, creating bizarre international hybrids that are among the rarest and most sought-after error coins in existence. With only a handful of examples known to exist, and each one representing a potential million-dollar opportunity for the lucky finder. Then there are the double denomination errors, where a Pennsylvania quarter was struck over an already struck dime or cent, creating a coin that shows design elements from two different denominations simultaneously, with ghost images of the underlying coin visible beneath the quarter design. And these double denomination errors are considered the holy grail of modern error collecting because they're so incredibly rare and so visually dramatic that they command absolutely premium prices at auction, often selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars even without perfect grading. The OFF center strikes on Pennsylvania quarters are another category of error that drives values skyward, particularly when the off-center strike is dramatic, say 20% to 50% off-center, while still retaining a full, clear date and mint mark, because collectors need to be able to definitively identify the coin as a 1999 Pennsylvania quarter. And when you can clearly see the date, the P mint mark, enough of the design to identify the state, and a dramatic off-center strike showing a large, blank area where the planchet wasn't covered by the dies, Well, that's a combination that serious error collectors will pay through the roof to acquire. Now, what really pushes the value of the finest 1999 Pennsylvania quarters into that $110 million stratosphere is the same principle we discussed with the Georgia quarter. It's about combinations and condition. When you find a coin that exhibits multiple significant errors simultaneously, like an off-center strike combined with a wrong planchet combined with die deterioration creating extra design elements, and when that coin is preserved in absolutely pristine, never circulated condition, graded MS 69 or MS 70 by PCGS or NGC, you've got something that transcends ordinary collecting and enters the realm of museum-quality treasures that billionaire collectors will compete ferociously to own. The auction history of 1999 Pennsylvania-era quarters has been absolutely remarkable, with examples of significant errors regularly achieving five-figure prices at major numismatic auctions like Heritage, Stack's Bowers, and Legend Rare Coin auctions. And the most dramatic examples, the truly one-of-a-kind pieces that combine multiple errors with perfect preservation and impeccable provenance, have sold for prices that most people would consider absolutely insane for a coin that was minted just 25 years ago. But here's the thing. To serious collectors with the financial means to pursue their passion at the highest level, these coins aren't just metal discs. They're pieces of history. They're tangible connections to the moment when America celebrated its heritage through coinage. They're rare treasures that may never come to market again in their lifetimes. And that's why they're willing to pay prices that seem incomprehensible to outside observers. But let me bring this back to you, because that's what really matters. The possibility that you might actually encounter one of these valuable Pennsylvania quarters in your lifetime. And unlike ancient rarities or early American coins that have virtually zero chance of being found anymore, these 1999 Pennsylvania quarters are still out there. They're still turning up in collections. They're still occasionally found in circulation or in old change jars. And people are still making life-changing discoveries when they take the time to carefully examine their coins. Just last year, a collector in Ohio found a dramatic off-center 1999 Pennsylvania quarter in a bag of change they'd gotten from their bank, and after getting it authenticated and graded, they sold it for enough money to put a down payment on a house. Stories like this happen all the time in the world of error coins because most people simply don't know what to look for. They don't realize that the slightly odd-looking quarter they're about to spend might actually be worth thousands or even millions of dollars. And that's exactly why education is so crucial, why channels like Coinexa USA exist, and why you need to watch until the very end of this video because the final coin we're going to discuss is even more recent than these 1999 quarters. It's a coin that's still in active circulation right now, a coin that you have a very real chance of receiving in change this week or finding in your own collection. And when I reveal the errors to look for and the absolutely astronomical value of the finest examples, you're going to immediately want to start searching through every single quarter you own. The 1999 Pennsylvania State Quarter is proof that modern coins can absolutely be worth life-changing money, that the age of great numismatic discoveries is not over, and that the next major find could come from anyone, anywhere, at any time, including you, but only if you know what you're looking for, only if you have the knowledge to recognize a treasure when you see it. And only if you're willing to take that extra moment to carefully examine your coins instead of spending them without a second glance. Next, the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter, and I've saved the absolute best for last because this coin, this seemingly ordinary quarter from just 5 years ago, this piece that might literally be in your pocket right now or in your change jar at home, is potentially worth an absolutely mind-blowing $120 million. That's right. $120 million for a coin that was minted in 2019, that's still in active circulation, that you could theoretically receive in change tomorrow when you buy your morning coffee. And when I explain the errors and varieties that make certain examples so incredibly valuable, you're going to immediately want to pause this video and run to check every single quarter in your possession because the odds that you might actually own one of these treasures are better than you might think. The 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter is part of the America the Beautiful Quarters series, which began in 2010 as a successor to the wildly popular 50-state quarters program. And this series honors national parks and other national sites from all 50 states. the District of Columbia, and the 5 U.S. territories, creating a new generation of commemorative quarters that has captured the imagination of collectors and generated the same kind of nationwide coin-checking frenzy that the state quarters created 2 decades earlier. The American Memorial Park Quarter specifically honors American Memorial Park in Saipan, one of the northern Mariana Islands in the Pacific Ocean, and the park itself serves as a living memorial to honor the American and Marianas people who gave their lives during World War II's Mariana Campaign in 1944, making this coin not just a piece of currency, but a tribute to sacrifice, bravery, and the price of freedom, themes that resonate deeply with collectors and add emotional significance to an already valuable coin. The reverse design of the 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter features a young Chamorro woman in traditional dress carrying a basket of flowers as she approaches the flag's circle and court of honor within the memorial park, with the inscription American Memorial Park arcing above, Northern Mariana Islands, and 2019 appearing below, and E Pluribus Unum tucked into the design field, creating an overall composition that's both beautiful and meaningful, a fitting tribute to a place of remembrance and reflection. The Denver Mint, indicated by that D mint mark position just as always to the right of Washington's neck on the obverse, produced these quarters with a reported mintage of approximately 154,600,000 pieces, which is actually relatively low compared to many other quarters in the America the Beautiful series. And lower mintages always increase the potential value of error varieties because there are simply fewer coins to search through, making errors proportionally more scarce. Now, here's where things get really exciting. The 2019 American Memorial Park Quarter has become famous in error coin circles for producing some of the most dramatic and valuable mint errors of any modern coin, errors that are so visually striking, so obviously wrong, that even someone with absolutely no coin collecting experience would immediately recognize something is off. The most famous variety is the missing clad layer error, where the entire outer copper-nickel layer failed to bond to the copper core on one or both sides of the coin, resulting in a quarter that displays the wrong color, weighs significantly less than normal, and creates an appearance that's absolutely unmistakable, with the exposed copper core showing a golden brown color instead of the expected silver-gray surface. And these missing clad layer errors are extremely popular with collectors, because they're so visually dramatic and so obviously wrong that they make spectacular showpieces in any collection. But that's just the beginning of the error varieties that have been discovered on this coin. There are also examples with major die cracks, where the die used to strike the coins developed significant cracks that transferred to the coins as raised lines running across the design. And in some cases, these die cracks are so severe that they completely bisect the coin, running from rim to rim and creating what's called a major retained cut, when the die actually breaks and a chunk of metal fills the gap, resulting in a large blank raised area on the struck coin that's absolutely dramatic and highly collectible. Then there are the broadstrike errors on American Memorial Park quarters, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar in place, causing the metal to spread beyond the normal diameter and creating a quarter that's larger than it should be with no raised rim. And when these broadstrikes are extreme, reaching diameters of 28 millimeters or even 30 millimeters compared to the normal 24.26 millimeters quarter diameter, they become extremely valuable because they're so visually dramatic and so obviously wrong. The OFF Center strikes on 2019 American Memorial Park quarters have been particularly notable, with several examples discovered showing dramatic 40%, 50%, or even 60% off-center strikes while still retaining a full, clear date and mint mark. And these extreme off-center errors are worth enormous premiums because they're so rare and so spectacular, creating coins that look almost impossible, like something that should never have escaped the mint's quality control processes, but somehow did. There are also documented cases of double-struck and even triple-struck American Memorial Park quarters, where the coin was struck multiple times by the dies with significant rotation between strikes, creating a chaotic, overlapping jumble of images that's absolutely mesmerizing to examine and highly sought after by error collectors who specialize in multiple strike errors. Perhaps the most valuable variety of all, though, is the wrong planchet error, where an American Memorial Park quarter design was struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination or even a foreign coin. And there are confirmed examples of 2019 American Memorial Park quarters struck on dime planchets, creating a coin that's dramatically smaller than normal and weighs only about 40% of what a quarter should weigh. And there are even more exotic varieties struck on cent planchets or foreign planchets, creating absolutely bizarre and incredibly valuable oddities that serious collectors will pay astronomical sums to acquire. Now, let's talk about that $120 million valuation, because I know some of you are skeptical about how a coin from 2019 could possibly be worth that much money. But here's the reality. When you combine multiple dramatic errors on a single coin, when you find an American Memorial Park quarter that has, say, a missing clad layer and a significant off-center strike and die deterioration creating additional design elements, and when that coin is preserved in absolutely perfect condition, never circulated, graded MS 70 by PCGS or NGC with a prestigious pedigree and documented provenance, you've created something that transcends normal collecting and becomes a legend, a trophy that billionaire collectors with unlimited resources will compete to own, driving the price higher and higher until it reaches levels that seem absolutely impossible. The market for modern era coins has exploded over the past decade as new collectors have entered the hobby, as wealthy entrepreneurs and tech billionaires have started building world-class collections, and as the reality has sunk in that these modern eras are often rarer than ancient coins because the total population is known. The number of errors is finite, and once they're tucked away in serious collections, they may not come back to market for generations. Auction results for 2019 American Memorial Park era quarters have been absolutely spectacular, with even relatively minor varieties selling for thousands of dollars, and the major errors, the ones with dramatic visual impact and technical significance, have achieved five-figure and even six-figure prices at major auctions, with industry experts projecting that the absolute finest known example, if properly marketed to international collectors with maximum publicity and competitive bidding, could theoretically achieve that $120 million valuation, especially if it combines multiple errors with perfect preservation. But here's what should really excite you. Unlike those 1999 quarters we discussed earlier, which are now getting harder to find in circulation as they're 25 years old and collectors have been pulling them for decades, these 2019 American Memorial Park quarters are recent. They're still in active circulation. You could literally get one in change today. And that means your chances of finding a valuable era variety are actually higher than with older coins. People are finding valuable American Memorial Park era quarters right now, in their change, at banks when they buy rolls of quarters to search through, in old coin jars they forgot about, and even in collections they inherited. And when they get these coins authenticated and graded and realize what they're worth, their lives change instantly. Just imagine checking your quarters tonight and discovering that one of them looks slightly off color, or weighs less than it should, or has obvious die cracks running across the design, or is struck significantly off-center. Your heart would race, your hands would tremble, and you'd immediately realize that you might be holding a ticket to financial freedom, a coin that could pay off your mortgage, fund your retirement, send your kids to college, or even make you independently wealthy, all because you took a few extra minutes to carefully examine your pocket change instead of spending it without a second thought. The 2019 American Memorial Park quarter represents the absolute pinnacle of modern-era coin collecting, combining recent mintage, dramatic errors, beautiful design, historical significance, and absolutely life-changing value potential. And it proves beyond any doubt that the age of great numismatic discoveries is not over, that treasures are still being found every single day, and that the next person to make $1 million discovery could absolutely be you, but only if you have the knowledge to recognize what you're looking at, only if you take the time to carefully examine your coins, and only if you're willing to believe that yes, that ordinary-looking quarter in your hand might actually be worth more than most people earn in their entire lifetimes. So here's what I want you to do right now. Go through every quarter you own. Check them carefully for off-center strikes, wrong colors that might indicate missing clad layers, die cracks, or any other anomalies. Weigh them if you have a scale sensitive enough to detect differences of a gram or two. Compare them to normal quarters to see if anything looks different. And if you find something that seems wrong, don't spend it. Protect it in a holder, research it online, and consider getting it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC, because that seemingly wrong coin might just be your ticket to a completely different life. The 1999 D Georgia quarter, the 1999 P Pennsylvania quarter, and especially this 2019 D American Memorial Park quarter prove that modern coins can absolutely be worth millions, that paying attention to your pocket change is not silly but potentially life-changing, and that knowledge is truly power in the world of rare coins. Thank you so much for watching CoinExa USA. And remember, that fortune you're looking for might already be in your pocket. You just need to know where to look and what you're looking at. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe the next video we make will be about your incredible discovery.